going on that session just now, the Circuit Safari, you're looking at the lap times there from the Peugeot. It's only, in fact, it's less than a second of what they were doing in FP2 yesterday. So even with the buses on track, the drivers are out there pushing.
Well, it is just a useful extra few laps. In fact, some teams doing full driver change and tyre change practice as well during that brief 10-minute period. So, Graham, you know, any track time is vital track time.
They'll have used every single corner and lap of this opportunity, short additional practice session. Should mention, by the way, look out for as we look at Goodyear. No choice here. It is back to the Eagle Medium. Eagle Wet, I suspect, may be needed this weekend. Goodyear, of course, aboard all of the LMGT3 cars in this field. And Mustang, well, right at the end of the COTA race, their tyre choice, I'm afraid, fell off an almost literal cliff. And what could have been the first win for Mustang in the FIA World Endurance Championship did not happen.
Well, it was less that their performance dropped, just that as the track dried, literally in the final 5 minutes of the 6 hours, suddenly the slick was the tyre to have, and so they were passed first by the 54 Ferrari and then by 59 McLaren, and the Ferrari, after making contact a couple of laps from the end with the leader in the class, actually they were first to flag, but they lost the win, finished up in 3rd place, and so it became a win for McLaren instead.
And the first win for McLaren in the FIA World Endurance Championship, and during this free practice session, by the way, members of the media corps here are going to be not in the media room, but actually in a briefing with Masanori Sakia and Marino Sato. Masanori Sakia, the winner at Le Mans in 1995, of course, in the McLaren F1 GTR.
With another driver who's here. You know,
with
Yannick Dalmas, yeah. So we're only missing JJ Leto. That whistling noise, which we've got in our ears, was the penny dropping from a very great height.
From a very great height. Sorry,
Graham was not expecting that reference. Yeah, Matt. I mean, we see Yannick Dalmas a lot because he's here driving a safety car, one of the driver advisors in the stewards room, and has been part of the championship since day one. But I haven't seen Masanori Sakia since he stepped out of the Ueno Clinic. McLaren and left Le Mans.
I saw him here some years ago with a support race for the Asian Le Mans series. He looked after a series he used to organise, which was a fascinating thing, a custom-built GT car with gentleman drivers and current Super GT, GT500 drivers in those cars. Great stuff. Fantastic chat with him, but I'm sure they'll be interested.
Let's round off the JJ Leto reference, actually, because he was the one who drove that car up the hill at Goodwood this year, the first time it had turned a wheel since it went into a museum in Japan after winning Le Mans. So free practice 3 about to get underway, a minute to go, and in just 3 seconds we'll hear our race director.
1 minute. We are under 1 minute to start FP3. 1 minute.
That, in fact, is Lisa, our assistant race director.
On board here with the number 5 Porsche. Worth saying before we get these cars on track that we have had, Peugeot leading both the free practice sessions so far. They're looking good here with what's been doled out to them for this Fuji race. Watch this space as to just where the performance goes. Beck Schumacher there with Dirk Müller.
Top 3 cars.
30 seconds. Under 30 seconds to open pit exit for FP3. 30 seconds.
Top 3 cars in FP2 covered by 64 thousandths of a second. That's the top 3. The top 15 cars within a second of the fastest lap. So
10, 9,
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pit exit is open for FP3.
So that was the voice of Eduardo Freitas taking over mid-count from Lisa. So our 44 cars, 36 cars rather, head out on track. 18 in the hypercar class and 18 in LMGT3. All cars out together. The final free practice session is 60 minutes after 2 90-minute sessions yesterday. And again, in both classes, very, very small time differences between the cars. This is a very split personality circuit, Darren. A mile of front straight, which is the end of sector 3 and the beginning of sector 1, and then the fast sector 1 and 2, and then sector 3 where you need all the downforce that you can't possibly put on the car because of the length of the straight.
Yeah, it's a compromise, isn't it? With a long straight like that, you want to be low drag as much as possible. But then that said, especially in that sector 3, the last part of sector 3, before you get onto the main straight, it's all about the downforce that you can carry. So, yeah, it's a big compromise, like most circuits, but this one is probably the more extreme in that sense. But it's a superb circuit in terms of layout. It's just I can always remember when racing here, it's just one of the lower grip circuits, and that was always the struggle, getting the performance from the tyres and just getting them turned on and making them work throughout the whole lap, and then the stint itself as well.
And is that because we come here in the autumn and it's not, you know, searingly hot like it would be in the middle of the summer?
I don't know if it's just the temperature or it's the nature of the tarmac here. It could have been both. I mean, yesterday it was a cracking day, wasn't it? So track temperature was high, but I still think it's just the nature of this circuit where the grip level is fairly low, which makes it more tricky. And one of those, good example of that is as you come through the middle sector, you're coming out of turn 5 and you're trying to get the car sort of in the right position for turn 6, and it's easy to, so one moment you're locking up the front left because of the way the road drops away. As you turned into the corner, suddenly you're losing the back end of the car, and it's one of those circuits that challenges you all the way around the track, especially those sort of 13, 14, 15 corners, in terms of you're never going to get it quite right. It's a balance all the way.
Looking at cars starting to build some heat into the tyres. It'll be a couple of laps before they can really lean on the tyre. Just to go through what happened in FP1 and FP2. In hypercar against Graham said, Peugeot fastest in both sessions. FP1, it was Peugeot 1-2, followed by Aston Martin Valkyrie 3-4. And in FP2, the 93 Peugeot topped the time. That's the Paul de Resta, Mikko Jensen, Jean-Eric Vergne car, ahead of the number 5 Porsche. Now that's one of a number of cars that are 2-driver entries only. Both the Penske Porsches are 2-driver cars. Both of the Aston Martin Valkyries are 2-driver cars. The number 5 Porsche was second quickest. 009 Aston Martin was third quickest. Number 8 Toyota, fourth quickest. Never count Toyota out, and especially not here in Japan, and especially not on such a major landmark as the 100th win. All of these things will ramp up their determination to win. In LMGT3, Lexus, Corvette and McLaren were the fastest 3 cars in free practice 1. Lexus, the other one, 87 in session 1 and 78 in session 1, 87 in sector 2. McLaren's second quickest, and the second of the Lexus was third quickest in FP2, ahead of the best of the Porsches. That's the Manthey first form car. And there are 2 things that might happen this weekend, of which we need to make you aware sort of early doors. One of which is that if things go in their favour, Ferrari could end up as manufacturers' champions for the very first time here this weekend. They might not. Equally, that could all go to the season finale in Bahrain. And possibly, again, if all the cards fall in their favour, then Manthey First Form could end up with the championship title. Now, they have more of a margin over their close rivals, but 6 Hours of Fuji, expecting nothing to happen is, unlikely.
Yeah, all sorts of possible combinations, but as we know, with this 6-hour format, it throws a lot at you. Whether or not that's from the perspective of the driver, we're delighted to have Darren with us for this one, from that perspective, or from the perspective of the overview that we have traditionally had for these races.
Yeah, whether it's rain or incidents, there are so many high-speed braking areas where drivers will be looking to make a difference. And as you said earlier on, talking about turn 1, particularly on colder tyres at the beginning of the race, that's always a crunch point, and that will be the case whether you're in a hypercar, Darren, or an LMGT3 car.
It's super difficult on the run down to turn 1 because of the nature of where the start line is, and they're obviously going to be carrying a lot more speed than most circuits off the start. And then you're coming down with tyres that are nowhere near optimal into turn 1. It's downhill, it's dropping away from the sort of the camber as well. So yeah, super difficult for all the drivers on that first lap. So yeah, that should be interesting tomorrow. But yesterday in FP2, I was staggered to see how close it was between the LM GT3, 1 second covering the top 18 in total. So it should make for an exciting qualifying session later today.
So before all of that, we have to get through our final 3 practice sessions. You can see on the timing pile on the left, currently the number 5 Penske Porsche, Mathieu Jaminet fastest of all. And then the Alpines making an appearance right at the top of the pile, with Charles Malaysi, Fred Makovici, and then car number 8, Ryo Hirakawa, in the better of the Toyotas. Now with both Ferraris, or 2 cars scoring manufacturers' points in hypercar, there's not a manufacturers' championship in LMGT3 because it is customer racing, so there is a teams championship, and that's the Manthey First Form Porsche that will be hoping to tie up not only the driver's title but also the team's title. Manthey won that last year with the Pure Racing entry. Alex Malikin, the man behind that Pure Racing, now racing in ELMS European Le Mans Series in an LMP2 car. So it might well be that his aim is to move further up in prototype racing, find himself a berth in hypercar. Not quite sure how achievable that's going to be as a customer.
You can see here into the last turn, a couple of them are trying some different lines now, just to think about qualifying and getting that extra speed onto the start-finish straight.
This massive drag strip here defines this circuit, I think, for many. Fabulous to see it from trackside. Watch the cars gathering speed and all different ways in which they deliver the performance.
What would race control be thinking about the 99 Porsche there that was basically parked in the final corner as this GT Porsche went by, and then obviously, as you said, was trying to sort of work out how to get the longest straight line onto the straight in the middle of a high-speed practice session, bringing the car down to about 30 Ks or whatever he was doing there.
I think they worked it well out.
Is that acceptable?
No, I think that's completely acceptable. But obviously the GT3 behind wasn't prepared to wait, wasn't prepared to compromise his lap any further, and just cracked on with it. But I don't think it really made much of a difference for the 99 because he still got full gas out of the last turn. So
now then, fresh off her bus ride, down in the pit lane is our reporter Shay Adam, or one of our reporters, Shay Adam. So let's hear from Shay. Good morning.
Hello, gentlemen. I'm feeling very refreshed out here, eyes wide open after being out on the bus. And I'll tell you what, those drivers, they do not hold back. Nick de Vries cut so close to the nose of bus number 6 that everybody on board gasped. And Alex Lynn was out there doing a quali sim. He came flying by a couple of times. That was very eventful. And my first trip to Japan, well, I'm definitely going to need to do that again.
Well, yeah, we did brief Shay that it was... I think drivers quite enjoy trying to take the paint off the bus as they go by.
This is the point where I can say I told you so.
I think it definitely is. I mean, it definitely is. It's not a genteel just sort of parade potter by, because these are racing drivers, and in the same way that if they ever got one of us in the passenger seat, they would do their level best to scare the bejesus out of us. They try and put on a show for the fans as well.
They do, but it's done very safely. Everybody's briefed. There's a specific briefing with race direction for those drivers. The drivers of the buses are very experienced. It's been done here for decades across their national sport, as well as here with the WEC nowadays, and it's a very special part of our visit to Japan. Both the McLarens, 1-2 now. James Cottingham goes to top in LMGT3.
Yeah, and as you can see there's a very good spread of manufacturers. The only cars that are sort of significantly not showing quickly at the moment, 21 and 54 Porsche. We saw that last time out in Austin, Texas. They didn't qualify well, they didn't practice well, and then when it came into the race, they were there, and we're going to see that as well, I expect, from Toyota.
on board with number 8 now. This is the downhill section into turn 1. This is the tricky part, and easy to overcommit and then run wide and then lose sort of the momentum on the way out. The gravel now on the exit of turn 1, they've put some gravel up against the curb, so that's going to make it tricky, I think, in the race. That's going to be one of those things that's going to catch a few people out. Super fast left through turn 3. Now we're through 4 and 5, and this is the one corner, the exit of 5 here. How much room do you want to use on the way out before you get into the braking zone for turn 6? Get the car turned, back on the power. It's all about traction out turn 6, on the run down, straight down to turn 10. Again, another downhill braking section here. one of those places you can sort of leave it really late. I don't know why. Turn 10 seems to give up a little bit more grip in the braking phase. Through 11, it's the compromise there on 11. Some of the cars are using a bit more curb on the right there through 12. Off camber over the top of 13. This is the one corner where you can make a dive for a position into turn 15. And then a little climb up the hill to the final corner, turn 16, and it's all about the exit on the way out of turn 16 onto the main start-finish straight.
Pedro, keep pushing. If you're improving, I'll let you continue. Otherwise, box.
That was double-handed, wasn't it? If you go faster, then you can stay in the car. If not, get out. That's like going karting with John Hindhoff and Joe Bradley. Good morning. Hello. Happy yesterday to Andre Negral, friend of the family, who's watching from home in Brazil, where it is still yesterday. Yes. I love time travel. That's fantastic. Let's travel back in time as well and catch up with Bruce Ioane, who is down in the pit lane. Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning there. Good morning, lads. I'm in the Alpine garage. I just had a little talk with Jules Gounon, and he was talking to me about the first feeling of the driver in the Alpines. And the track, as Darren mentioned, is a lot cooler than yesterday, a lot colder, in fact. And the car balance is completely different. So today we might see a bit of a shuffle in the order, even if the Peugeot and the Aston Martin are looking pretty strong.
All right, excellent. Well, again, free practice, Darren, is all about trying to dial the car into the track and try and get the most out of it. So it's interesting to see the times, but is it really the whole picture, do we think?
Well, it gives you an idea, doesn't it? This is what I was just saying about the gravel on the exit of turn 1. The BMW just getting caught out, going deep on the brakes there, trying to get a move done on the Ferrari GT3. And then just losing the back end as the left rear drops into the gravel there. And I think in the race we're going to see a lot of that happen.
Yeah, because it is a good place to get by slower cars, and the speed that the hypercars will be coming with will be the highest differential probably of anywhere in the entire season between themselves and the LMGT3 cars. Kevin Magnussen, the ex-Haas driver, a little bit of Haas excitement going on this weekend. Of course, Romain Grosjean getting to drive the car yesterday. Haas rolling the car out for him. And Romain Grosjean, nice little side note in that, he posted on his social media, not just that he was getting to drive the car for the final time after his fiery accident a few years ago, but also that his kids had designed a livery for his helmet for what was due to be the next race, his very final Grand Prix, which he never got to wear. So that's what he was wearing yesterday. So that's a nice little touch. And also James Hinchcliffe, the ex-IndyCar star, who's now commentating for F1 TV amongst others, he got to drive the car as well.
46 minutes to go in the session. Eric Tinknell to the top of timing in the 007 car. 1:29.492. Great to see the Valkyrie right up there. Had a cracking run at Kota. Looked very competitive indeed. Problems very late in the race for both cars, in part caused by the prevailing conditions. But Darren, must do your heart good to see the Aston Martins coming on song.
Oh, it's fantastic. You're right about obviously Kota. They really did have a good chance there of maybe sneaking their first podium with the Valkyrie hypercar. But again, the momentum's in their favour at the moment. The practice sessions have been really good. I think both sessions they've had cars in the top 5, so that's fantastic. And now, obviously, Harry doing a good lap. This is 0.003 of a lap, 10th of a second quicker than what was done yesterday in FP2. So you'd imagine it's just going to come and get a bit quicker as the session goes on. But this lower temperature should suit the cars. It should produce a bit quicker lap time today in this session. But it's good to see them right up there. Now, obviously, just before we came on air, you said about Cadillacs being strong this weekend, and now obviously they've come to the top 3 positions in this session at the moment.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do in terms of tyres. With predominantly, previously we've used the hard and the medium, and those are for hotter conditions. See, that's the yellow sidewall, that's the medium tyre. The white sidewall of the soft tyre, which is for colder conditions, it's not in what we in old-fashioned terms would understand as a softer tyre, as in shorter life, a qualifying tyre. It is just designed, it's more a cool tyre rather than a soft tyre, designed for cooler track conditions. And Toyota have got this history of being able to use the soft in track temperatures and in conditions that others can't. So I wonder if that is going to play a little bit into their hands as track temperatures drop. They might feel a little more comfortable with that than in the high track temperatures yesterday. As you said, Darren, nearly 30 degrees of air temperature, but clear blue skies for much of the day. You can see in the background of that shot, Mount Fuji not visible because there's a lot of cloud cover around and quite a damp sort of morning, so track temperatures are significantly lower.
For the first time this weekend, or this week really, we've not been able to see Fuji from trackside. The weather's been so stunning that actually arriving here on Thursday morning, we could see Fuji as we left the airport.
Yep.
And that's not something you'll see very, very often. Beautiful conditions for the last couple of days, but from here on in, more changeable. And it does seem that the designers of racetracks worldwide have managed to put them all in areas where there's a microclimate.
Yes, which is never a bad thing. So far, I don't think anybody has ventured on to the soft tyre, whereas I would have thought maybe that this morning that would be something they need to explore. Looked like who was that in the BMW? Is that a Japanese-only helmet livery for Dries Van Tor? I think that was the 15 BMW. Yeah, it looked like it. I don't think I'd seen that helmet before.
So Aston Martin still leading this session from the two caddies. Remember, pole position here last year for Alex Lynn. The car was going very well. Then it's the second of the Aston Martin, so Valkyrie, caddy, Valkyrie, then the 94 Peugeot. Led one of the 2-3 practice sessions yesterday in LMGT3. Still James Cottingham at the top of the times in the 59 United McLaren. Someone Rumpoy, though, has now put TF Sports 81 Corvette second and then splits the two McLarens with Heart of Racing 27 Aston Martin. Zach Robichon at the wheel of that car at the moment. That one sits fourth. End of free practice 2 yesterday, if I'm correct. Top 8 cars. We had 7 manufacturers. I think it was just the 2 Toyotas that featured in the top 8. There's our LMGT3 times. Aston Martin and Ferrari tied on 7 GT victories apiece in Fuji. First LMGT3 victory for Ferrari last year here. And Thomas Fleur, and he retains this record as a result of the dramas post-race at Kota, has only ever won in Japan. In the FIA World Endurance Championship. I think he's done so 3 times. A remarkable micro stats of the first 100 races of the FIA World Endurance Championship.
Yeah, last year was their 3rd win, and as you say, never won anywhere else, and Kota keeps that alive.
And sitting ahead of him is the other car that was involved in the incident that meant that they didn't win. It was Davide Rigon, this is 21 of course, not the 54. Davide Rigon coming together with the 88 car in the final stages. And it was that contact that they determined was unfair and put the 54 car down. Well, that's enough of that. So let's go down to pit lane. We'll chat with Sheridan.
I am in the Alpine garage and Fred Makowiecki, driver of 36 Alpine, just came out of the car. Can you tell us a little bit more about the track conditions, because it's very different compared to yesterday?
Definitely. I mean, it's a lot cooler, and we know we have some risk of drizzling or maybe light rain. It's something we need to take in consideration, because we know with the temperatures the balance can evolve quite a lot. We are working on that, because yesterday we made a good progress on the car, but definitely we need today to adapt to the condition.
And what are going to be the conditions tomorrow? Do you have an idea about the conditions tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit here, you know, you can have this small drizzling where you need to keep it slicks for a long time. I mean, we have the soft tire option this year, which could be clearly a good choice if we have not totally wet track. Let's see how is it will be the same for everybody, but for sure the strategy can have a big impact.
Thank you so much. See you later.
Thanks.
Interesting that Alpine is sort of considering the soft as maybe almost how you might have had an intermediate in years gone by. Only 2 cars in this session have tried a soft. 94 Peugeot has got a soft right rear, and the 50 Ferrari has got a soft right front. So it's because it's a clockwise circuit, predominantly the left-hand side does more of the work then, Darren.
Yeah, and obviously keeping the soft on the right, you're on the tyre that isn't doing much work, and it just means that it's not going to be under the same sort of pressure as a medium on the left-hand side of the car, so you can afford to have a bit more of a change on this circuit from left to right-hand side.
Well, let's see what Toyota make of it so far, this home race, the 100th in WEC.
Nick de Vries is a previous winner here at Fuji. You know what it takes to get it done. You got to go out there and have a little bit of fun, though, during the safari. You got very close to the front of my bus. Just how much risk are you taking out there when the buses are on track, too?
Well, obviously, there were a lot of yellow flags, so we had to be careful and had to respect the rules. And I think it's a nice, I would say, gesture and experience for the Japanese fans and executives that were actually in the vans. Not very common, at least in European racing. I'm not sure about American, but yeah, it's I would say a little bit Japanese specific, but it's a cool and different experience. But we took a lot of care.
I appreciate that. A big topic of conversation this weekend is the soft Michelins. Toyota has been the manufacturer that's nailed that the best. You guys have been able to utilize it. Do you think that with these cooler conditions today and possibly tomorrow, that can help you get the Toyota back to victory lane?
I don't know. We'll certainly consider whether it's possible to use. I think this morning we've seen people on mixed strategies and mixed usage, but we're not certain yet. Let's see. Maybe we need a little bit more cooler conditions. It's actually not that cold. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of fans with Toyota flags waving for you. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, Toyota with a big presence here in terms of the track, but also in the fan zone as well. As ever, the fan zone is highly populated. There's a French food festival going on. There are still some small model cars left, despite Graham Goodwin's double foray into it in the last 2 days.
Sorry.
All sorts of fan interaction going on, including, hello everybody in management, lots of WC 100 merch, which we didn't know existed and haven't seen any of either.
He said pointedly.
Yes, some more things going on as well to make this a little bit of a special celebration. We'll find out a bit more about that during qualifying and hyperpole, because of course, Darren Turner, that's what comes up next, qualifying and then into hyperpole, first for LMGT3 and then for hypercars. So part of what they're doing in this session, we already heard, part of what they were actually doing in Circuit Safari is getting themselves ready for qualifying, because that's very, very different from everything else they do in free practice.
Yeah, it'd be the first time, while the track conditions are like they are at the moment, it'd be the first time to sort of give it a go, running low fuel and fresh tyres, and not worrying about a race setup, and just making the most of what the car is capable of.
On board now with the Aston Martin Valkyrie. Look at the telemetry live there, 7th gear, 178, 182, 84, heading on towards and beyond 190 miles an hour before getting into the braking zone into turn 1.
Yeah, over 300 kilometres an hour. It is a very long straight, and they build up a lot of speed. And of course, this is unlike the LMP1 cars, where they use their hybrid boost to zoom off at the beginning of the straight, and then everything would come past them when they'd run out of hybrid. Here, the hybrids just replace some of the internal combustion power.
Okay, Tom, we can see you're doing some fuel saving and some lift and coasting, but we want to try and achieve a delta of minus 1.6.
So a bit of coaching there for Tom Gamble aboard the 007. Going to be joined shortly. We've heard from our weekend-long British endurance racing legend, Darren Turner. He's popped off for a coffee, as he is wont to do every 6 or 7 minutes. We're going to have another in the booth just shortly. And when I say legend, his legend is still large and still live. And we're going to welcome to the booth none other than, I think we're going to start calling him Mr. 24, aren't we?
I think Mini 7 racers, former Mini 7 racers, now outnumber former Aston Martin racers in the booth, yes.
And I gather off the Christmas card list for Christophe Bouchou, Nick Tandy. Nick, welcome to
Graham.
Fuji. Great to see you here. When's the last time you were here in Japan?
I think it was 2022, it must have been, when we were running the full season in the Corvette, when the Corvette was still in GTE last year, GTE Pro. So, yeah, it's been 3 long years, but it's good to be back.
Well, we're on board now with Laurens Vanthoor. You're here today as the reserve driver. Presumably after that there's no point on the reserve because you can't get the car anyway. But on board the 963, what are the guys telling you about prospects for this weekend?
We're hoping to find out a bit more after this practice 3, to be honest. So, I mean, things didn't look too bad on single lap or sort of long run pace yesterday. Everybody looks pretty close, which spells, you know, it looks good for race time. But yeah, of course, we've got a new tyre in the mix this weekend, as opposed to last year with the soft and the medium compounds available to use. So I think probably everyone's going to try and learn a bit about the soft tyre this morning.
I was going to ask you to pause there so we could just admire Kevin Estra's catalogue pose, but we'll move on from that. Great race for the boys at COTA, circuit you'll know very well, and also going well for you guys in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. So for Porsche, there's a lot on the table at the moment.
There is. You know, there's still 2 championships out there up for grabs. So, of course, we're looking good in the IMSA series. We had kind of great start to the year, and things have tailed off a bit over there. Whereas it's kind of vice versa in the WEC. So it wasn't that super special to begin with. But yeah, the win last time out in Austin, it's put a bit of more energy back in the team. Hoping to finish out both series with some good results. It's possible. This is the thing.
This was where we saw the really big breakthrough for the WEC team with the 963 a couple of seasons ago. Trouble here for the Mustang. It's the 77 car that's pulled off. Drivers left into there's Ben Tuck aboard the car.
Yeah, smoking a little bit, but that might just be hot brakes. Something is leaking out from underneath. Yeah, so it looks like he's got a coolant leak.
Yeah, there's certainly something.
And I wonder if that's some of the gravel that's come out of the Turn 1 gravel trap.
Never good to see something out of the car that should be in the car. The first thing was the fluid, and the second thing's Ben Tuck. Yeah. So that's done, unfortunately. And we're going to get intervention here, I'm sure. So Ben opting just to pull the car over, and yes.
Yeah, that's just looks like a hose blew there, doesn't it?
Yeah, the international signal for it's all over this session. There, Ben.
Tell us about the 963, because obviously you've got experience of it. We'll have a quick listen to Mustang Team Radio, come back to that in a moment.
Engine issue. Water pressure, the engine's gone.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Ben.
So cause or effect, well, he obviously switched it off because it lit up like a Christmas tree, and we see the reason why there.
We're going to be going to full course yellow, so plenty of time to get more at Nick in this period.
20 seconds to full course yellow.
Yeah, potential stone through the radiator, possibly.
We will go under full course yellow in less than 15 seconds. Full course yellow in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow, full course yellow.
And, great shot of the full course yellow lights.
Yep.
Along this long start finish straight. Nick, tell us a little bit about this in WEC terms, hypercar, in IMSA terms, GTP era, from the professional driver's point of view. You were part of the LMP1 story, a big part of the LMP1 story, then back into GT cars, and now a very firm part of this era with the 963. What does it mean from the perspective as a professional driver like yourself for the depth of competition we've now got?
Well, this is the beauty of this class and this, you know, this set of regulations. The competition and the racing is so good. The amount of cars out there, the amount of teams, the amount of, you know, drivers that get to go racing now in the top class and fighting for overall victories at Le Mans and other places. It's an amazing thing to be part of. You know, I was spoiled a little bit by being able to run in the LMP1 times with those. I mean, those things were just unbelievable pieces of equipment. You know, I'm not sure we'll ever see cars as technologically advanced as that again, because it was just
bonkers.
It was unreal. They were like spaceships. But you know, to drive a single lap, these cars, the hypercars, the GTP cars, they're built to a budget. This is the fact. It allows everyone to go racing together, which is great. But the cars are restrained. You know, we're all on the same set of tyres, which are, you know, we obviously work with Michelin and to build a tyre that works with all the cars. But at the end of the day, you know, even in GT Pro and back in LMP1, you would design your own tyres for your own car, and everything was just bespoke. So whilst the racing, I think, is absolutely the #1 priority, which it should be, which is what we've got with great racing, loads of cars. Being spoiled from coming from driving a spaceship, on a single lap, if you go testing, they don't compare. But you know, we go racing for a reason. That's for the competition aspect. So
it doesn't lack anything in terms of the closeness of racing, does it? There's an interesting moment at the moment. I'm not going to ask you anything specifically about points to do with Porsche and future plans there, because that's not fair and not your role. There have been very public statements about what is going to go on and who's going to make those decisions. But where we are is an interesting point in the history of this formula. And it does seem very different from what we've seen before. It seems as if these factories that are often, you know, with daggers drawn, are getting together with rule makers, both sides of the Atlantic, to come to sensible conclusions about where we go to in developing this idea. We'll come back to that in a moment, because we're going to go down in a moment to pit lane, have a catch up with one of the drivers just getting out of the car. Valet has had a quick run aboard the 46 BMW, but let's go down to pit lane.
Niklas, first thing, congratulations. I heard you signed a multi-year contract with Ferrari. You must be delighted about that.
Yeah, of course. Very happy to continue with with Ferrari and with the team where I started my career in endurance racing. So yeah, obviously happy to continue with them.
Now let's get into the weekend. What's the mindset, knowing that there is the Constructor Championship at stake?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously one of the more difficult tracks for us. So yeah, I think we will see. I mean, it's always difficult to say before the quali and the race, but we struggle more here than we do on other tracks, and it's going to be a difficult one. So hopefully it will not be too much of a damage limitation race, but like you said, the championship is quite close and is getting closer as well. So we will see.
Let's go to work then. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ferrari aligning all their ducks. Almost race by race now, we're getting another multi-year contract being announced. They are obviously protecting their talent pool.
Okay, compared to yesterday, high speed is now more understeer than yesterday. I have less grip in the front axle in that. I'm sliding from the front, and then I will find something 2011.
So all sorts of minor little issues being worked through. What I was going to ask you, Nick, is having had experience of 963 now in all sorts of different tracks, do you as a team now have a feeling that this is what our car does best, this is what our major weakness is, and of the competition as well? This is a kind of a caddy track, or this is kind of a BMW track. Is that sort of awareness of what everybody's got starting to build up now that we're sort of 3 or 4 years into these cars?
Yes, to a certain extent, but also the rule makers know this also. You know, the balance of performance doesn't change based on just previous results. You know, it changes based on the simulations that have been done for all the cars in the wind tunnel, all the simulations that have been done elsewhere, based on what the rule makers think the cars will the lap times they'll be able to achieve on particular tracks. So, you know, whilst you might think that there'll be a good track for the Porsche or a good track for the Ferrari, the rule makers also know this. So, you know, so things are adjusted to try and keep everyone within a window where we can all go racing, and you know, by and large, they do a very good job. So, yeah, it's the cars are always evolving. This is the thing, and you know, we've had some updates.
We will remove full course yellow in less than 15 seconds.
Everyone else has had some updates.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow removed.
Back up to 11.
I was going to say, even when speaking, Nick Tandy still subscribes to the if there's a gap and you don't go for it.
Nick, one of the areas,
I'm new to this.
one of the areas that you absolutely do have more freedom, that is probably not that widely known, is software. Is the way in which the systems can help you to manage the car. And that's not something that's widely discussed for very obvious reasons, but there's a lot going on within the season even about helping you guys to do a better job with what you've got at your disposal.
Yeah, it's continuous development. It's the thing. Every week that we go and race in IMSA, for example, on the 923 program, there'll be
from the performance side, so it looks like if we can hold a little bit of throttle between 10 and 11 to keep the rear down, it helps a bit. So maybe something you want to give it a shot whenever we go green.
That probably will help a bit.
Yes, indeed. But back to the software issue, it is something we see and we hear, but not in detail, from pretty much all the teams all the time.
Yeah, and every time the car goes on track, you know, the people are learning in the, you know, we've got people based in Visac that are covering exactly what's going on in the car on track, and, you know, they'll learn from what ideas somebody might have at the track side or somebody might have in the ops room, and then, you know, there's updates every time we go out, and this is, you know, this is part of the job of a driver, is keeping up to date with what is being updated and how you can use it to your benefit. Most of the time it doesn't, you know, it doesn't really help us, but occasionally we struck something gold.
Great drone shots here with the Alpine and the Peugeot negotiating the final part of the lap.
And Malte Jakobsen leaving big black stripes on the road out of 10 and 11 as the car's squirming for traction. So not sure that was the sort of amount of throttle they maybe might have been thinking about. But
final point about that in-season development. Two cars jet away from the already quick drone. Simulation and its role in helping you to understand what's coming. That was a huge part of LMP1. Still sits there in that position for Hypercar and GTP?
Yes and no. You know, there is a limitation to what the simulation can tell you. And a lot of the time, you know, you only get back what you've actually put in the first place. So, of course, there's lots you can be learned, but I mean, we used to use it a lot in LMP1 stuff for aero development, aero stuff, where this is all kind of, you're boxed in for what you've got your kit and you can't develop stuff. So we still use it a lot, but there is stuff that we can't, you know, we don't utilize like they do in F1 or like we used to do in LMP1 days.
Yeah. Number 8 Tota coming in. Sebastian Wayne will be getting aboard. He's another, and this 100th WEC event, another of the drivers here that holds a number of the superlatives, a number of the records, most race wins, most race appearances, longest streak uninterrupted, which was broken at Spa this year for Seb Buemi. And he's going to be climbing aboard the Tota here. Can they get a turnaround in fortunes? It's been not the season that they would have wanted. Trackside support for him.
Since we have a Porsche driver here, Porsche have obviously slipped to 16th, 17th and 18th in Hypercar.
That's because Nick's not in the car.
Yeah, get your shoes on. Your next job, though, is going to be Petit Le Mans in 2 weekends' time, isn't it? So you'll be back to the States and got test weekend next weekend and then the event itself, or are you just going to rock up on the Friday and bang in a zinger in qualifying?
We're straight into it. Straight into it on Thursday.
Yeah.
We have been testing, though. We've been testing, like you say, it's Petit Le Mans, which is a massive event by itself, but it is the final round of the championship. We've got teams and drivers championship up for grabs, and of course the manufacturers. It's very close with Porsche and Acura in the States, so lots to play for. I haven't been victorious at Petit for a few years now, so it would be nice to try and get another win there.
Was your last win the overall with the GT car?
No, it was, I think I won in 2018 and also 2020.
Okay.
So I've been lucky to get a few wins.
We can ask one more question, and because you're a professional racing driver, we're going to make it about you, because we like that. We talked about the Mr. 24 bit. There will be listeners and viewers that aren't aware what that's all about, Nick, and Daytona this year, very special. Wrapped up a full set of the major 24-hour races in the world. First driver to do that. That's really quite something. I was delighted, by the way, to be asked by the RAC to come and see you begin with the Seagrave Trophy. If you don't know what that is, it's effectively UK motorsports knighthood to people who've done something significant, and it was particularly great to see you there with the family.
It's an amazing thing to be recognised by something out of our sport. Honestly, you know, it's you live in your own little bubble, and I think we all live in our own little bubble of racing. And of course, when something big happens, you know, it's part of what you do. But when people outside of the sport recognise something else that's going on, it kind of takes you back. And yeah, it's just an amazing thing to have happened. Of course, you know, all these 24-hour races, I have been joined by lots and lots of other people to help me do it. Yeah, it's we just love winning, and you know, it's not. It won't be my last 24-hour race win, that's for sure. So I just need to try and complete the set all over again.
Mate, Freddie Mercury had a drummer. It comes down to it. You've come away with that record. Delighted to see you here with us. Come back and see us again. The WC booth. Enjoy Petit Le Mans, and let's see whether or not you can't add further superlative to what's been a stunning career so far, and we'll continue, I'm sure, in that vein. Nick Tandy, thanks so much. Martin, what's going on track?
Well, Luca Giudi, fastest of all in the Aston Martin. In LMGT3, that's the 27 Harter racing car you saw. And then the Sebastian Boe, second quickest in the 59 McLaren. Charlie Eastwood, we ride on board in the 81 Corvette, the TF Sport Run car, up to third fastest. And then Darren de Jong in the second McLaren ahead of the better of the Porsches. That's the Iron Dames car of Michel Gatting around the outside of Charlie Eastwood, goes to 51 Ferrari. And then down into turn 6. Onto the brakes, Francesco Castellacci getting ready to take over in the final 20-odd minutes of this 60-minute session. That's the 54 Ferrari, 21 Ferrari. The Ferraris have found a little bit more pace here. Davide Rigon in the 54 car, Castellacci rather ready to take over 21. So there's the 54 Ferrari that is currently 6th quickest. I just had a pit caller from the number 8 Toyota. They've swapped over from Ria Hirakawa to Sebastian Buemi. Ria was on the radio just as they were coming in, saying that he felt that the power delivery wasn't quite what they were expecting. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. 17 of our cars are running on track in LMGT3, with the Mustang having finished. But let's catch up with Shay Adam in the pit lane. Shay, what do you know?
The thing that they are most worried about in the Ford garage is whether or not the engine was turned off quickly enough, because they don't have time to get a full engine change done before we roll into qualifying. That begins in just over 4 hours time for the LMGT3 cars. If it's an engine that they need to change for tomorrow, that's one thing. If it's just a hose that slipped off in today that caused that expulsion of liquid, then that is doable for qualifying. They ultimately won't know until this session is done, costing them even more time.
Yeah, that's a real issue, not being able to get the car back. And telemetry will tell you so much, the driver can tell you so much. Ben Tuck will say, you know, it went clatter, clatter, bang, rattle, rattle, and then all the lights came on, or it didn't. If it didn't make, Darren, as a driver, you sort of hear cars making strange noises and you fear the worst, but when something fundamental goes wrong in the engine, it's pretty obvious audibly, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, like a long time ago when I started doing this GT racing.
Black and white?
Yeah, you didn't really have anything on the dashboard. It was like your rev lights and your gear indicator and maybe a couple of
big
LEDs.
All warning lights.
So you would hear everything. It'd be the failure, then you'd obviously hear everything going on. But now, obviously, everything is monitored. They've got live telemetry. And before the problem becomes too big, normally you've seen it on the dash, or the team's already seen it, and you can deal with it and switch off the engine and obviously cause as minimum damage as possible. So that's the norm now. So hopefully that's what's happened with Ben and the Ford.
The fact that it happened where it did, he just passed the pits. So I don't think he had much of a warning of that.
No, it does. It did look like, and this is old car talk, it did look like it just blown a hose, because it was just this big whoomph explosion of, although the race control said we think we may have oil on track. So and actually the fluid underneath didn't seem to be steaming, so it may well have blown an oil line rather than a water hose. And that might be a little bit more a catastrophic oil pressure failure in a racing engine, even for a few seconds, might not be something that's very good for it.
Wasn't his radio message something about water pressure, that he'd seen high water pressure?
Yeah.
So at least he's been able to get
water.
That information.
He said water.
Yeah, so I think it will be along those lines.
Meanwhile, back in hypercar, We talked to Kevin Estre actually a couple of days ago, just hanging around outside the pits because that's what we do. And he was saying, you know, what do you think? Where are you going to be? He said, I don't know, I think we'll sort of be in the mix, but this is, and he said Aston Martin, and he also said, did he not say that he thought that Cadillac and maybe Alpine should be quick as well?
Yes, he
no,
did.
Peugeot. He tipped the Peugeots to be quick here as well. So, and Alpine seem to have pace here as well. BMW, strangely, don't seem to be quite where they were in Texas. René Rast currently 6th quickest, the 15 car down in 11th. But free practice 2, it was very hard, other than they were ranked in time order, with 15 cars covered by a second. It's very hard to really make an inference from that, I think, of who genuinely has got race pace and who might not have.
Yeah, I mean, just to pick up on something you said about the conversation with Kevin Estre, absolutely right. But here's the other point. He was talking about 4 different manufacturers that could be in the mix. 4 manufacturers that could be in the mix. Just had Nick Tandy in the booth, and Nick, through those glory days of LMP1 hybrid, which we all thoroughly enjoyed, at maximum it was 3. And by the way, they were the only 3 in terms of the factory level for most of the WEC. Here we are with 8 manufacturers, another one to come, 2 more to come the year after that, and watch this space beyond that. Yeah. It's an extraordinary era. Back out on the track here, the number 10 Aston Martin, Valentino Hazzaclo, and he's got a new co-driver this weekend, hasn't he? The Tony McIntosh in that car.
Yeah, Tony was in it in Brazil, and then obviously went back to Derek for Kota, and now it's back to Tony.
Bumped into Derek the day after the race, and he confirmed he will not be back for the remainder of this year. He's looking at seeing what he can do to get back into this for the future. But Tony in Brazil was absolutely mega aboard that car. Really turned heads.
He did a superb job. I think it was his first time to the circuit as well. Great defence towards the end of the race as well. So towards the end of his stint in the second hour. So that was a fantastic debut for him.
And good news as well for Eduardo Barrichello, having his first real standout performance on his home track. Not a dry eye in the Barrichello house, I think. So the Aston Martin of Mattia Giudi, the 27 car, currently the quickest, but they have had their pro drivers in, and this is the first time that the pro driver Valentin Hazzaclo has been in the number 10 car. And again, it's hard to count out almost any car in LMGT3 because you're not sure what everybody's doing in terms of race run and performance and so on during the course of any of the sessions. You look at the 3 Porsches down at the bottom in hypercar. Are they just doing long runs? Are they just using old tyres, full tanks?
There's elements of that involved here. Are they quite on the overall pace? No. But if they're not quite on the overall pace, number 6 is the only top-class prototype to complete all 100% of laps in a single season. Did it in 2024 en route to their driver's title with 1,859 laps in the season. Yeah, it might well be that it's something around that. We've got 2 cars under investigation, Max Riberas and Stefano Gattuso, the 009 Valkyrie and the 88 Mustang. Incident turn 10, which I didn't see at 10:08, and in fact 009 team manager and driver to the stewards.
Well, that's not good news for the Mustang. One of them sitting at the side
the
of
other
the track,
Mustang, yes.
and the other one clearly being biffed by something. Ooh. In Whistles 87, Clement Schmidt.
And another
change there. Jose Mira Lopez back in that car.
As we said a little earlier, first win at Kota in WEC history for McLaren. We saw a win for Lexus earlier this year as well, so 2 new makes been added to the tally. And LMGT3 developing nicely. I think there's more to come. There's more interest and intrigue to come in that class in the next few months, without a shadow of a doubt. All sorts of things happening behind the scenes. And while sometimes in terms of the headlines it's been overshadowed rather by hypercar, there's a few days in the sun to come in the LMGT3 paddock.
Jose Maria Lopez back in the Lexus that he has predominantly, but not exclusively, been driving for the last 2 seasons. There was a little bit, if you haven't caught up, by the way, with the behind-the-scenes WEC Full Access program from Austin, Texas, that dropped, as the kids say, no longer, on YouTube on Monday, and there were some interesting little asides in the Toyota garage, particularly given how inclement the weather was at COTA. Jose Maria Lopez saying, not really the best race to come back into the hypercar in. I think he did feel that he was pedaling hard below the surface, but nevertheless did a cracking job. And yeah, WC Full Access gives you a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, some really interesting little moments as well in the background of the race, the build-up to and the aftermath of the race in COTA just 3 weeks ago. So that's up on the WC YouTube channel. And don't forget, if you go to FIAWEC.tv, which is our streaming service, you can sign up for a free account, and that will give you access to a whole load of other bits and pieces, as well as WC Full Access before it goes up on the YouTube account. And you can also watch the races and our televised sessions, free practice, qualifying and hyperpole, for free, not for free, but for a season pass, and you can watch it uninterrupted on FIAWC.tv as well. So wherever you're watching this, whether you're watching it online or whether you're watching it in the old-fashioned way, what's now known as linear, with telly to you and me, then you can also catch up with everything on FIAWC.tv. So 8 minutes remain. Peugeot looking relatively strong currently with their cars both in the top 10. Let's catch up with the team and Malte Jakobsen in the garage.
I am with Malte Jakobsen, driver of the 94 Peugeot. Yesterday, Peugeot topped the times of the 2 sessions. Today the track is a little bit different. We see that you're a little bit more down. Do you think you can fight for pole position?
I mean, I think to get the perfect answer, you need to ask Mikkel and Stoffel, who is going to do the qualifying today. But obviously, like you said, practices has seemed very positive so far. We are still obviously exploring and working very hard to improve, because we know this field is super competitive. So if you just lean back, everybody else will come past you. So it's all about keep focused and keep working on ourselves.
What difference did it make with the changes that you made just lately, and especially with the tires?
It's obviously a very demanding track in the last sector in terms of tire degradation and managing the car to be in the right window in terms of tire temperatures. So I think, at least from our point of view, temperatures like today with a little bit of cloud cover and slightly cooler track temps could probably suit us a little bit better for tomorrow. But at the end, I think this is the prime target for everybody here this weekend, to make the tires last, as it's very tricky in the last sector especially.
Well, good luck for this afternoon and as well for tomorrow, but we'll speak to you later. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce Ioani in the pit lane with Malte Jakobsen. And Peugeot, Darren Turner, that's a team that's got a little bit more spring in their step. 3rd place and 4th place finishes in Austin, Texas. So they got both cars very close to podium. Actually, in the final hour, they were running 2nd and 3rd and just sort of lost out in the final hour. Instead of having 2 cars on the podium, they got 1. But that's the sort of result that gives you that boost as a team.
100%, it just G's you on, doesn't it? It's when things start to come together, and basically you can see a result coming, a podium or even a win before the season's out. Everyone on the team just gets that extra bit of energy and works that a little bit harder.
Alex Lynn was the guy who won the pole position last year here at Fuji. Alex, the Cadillac, similar to how it was last year, if not quicker. Do you think you have the car to get your 2nd consecutive pole at this track?
Yeah, I do, but also I think a lot of other people have got a car to do it as well. I think this, for me, feels like maybe the most competitive WEC race of the year in terms of the pace we're seeing on short runs, long runs. I think there's a lot of cars that can do very fast lap times.
It's a big turnaround yesterday to today. The cooler conditions, they seem to be helping the Cadillac, aren't they?
I think so, yeah. I think it's about keeping the rear tyres alive around here, and Sector 3 obviously is very tight and twisty. Our car's quite big, so yeah, anything we can do really to cool down the rear tyres, we usually go a bit better.
He's already got a couple of hyperpoles so far this year. Let's see if he can make it number 3 today.
That would be special, wouldn't it? Pole for the 100th World Endurance Championship race. But they will have some stiff opposition, as you can see on the timing pile on the left. The yellow Cadillac logo, 38 and 12. They're currently 2nd and 3rd. surrounded by the Aston Martins. Don't count out Peugeot, BMW, Alpine, or even Toyota.
Five minutes remaining, so next lap you can do race start practice.
A race start practice. So he'll come at 80 kilometres an hour out of the final corner and hold everybody up, and then...
I wouldn't want to be in front of him as he comes to the turn one, let's put it that way.
Try not to crash into turn one, Darren. That's something I wasn't aware of that teams are doing, but we talked a little bit with Nick Tandy about the sophistication of the electronics wars, and that's not just hypercar, that's all over LMGT3 as well. And these cars, they may not be maybe all the bells and whistles of an LMP1 car, but they're still hugely complex machines to get into the depths of with setup and running.
I mean, there's two things from that radio communication. We know Will's doing the start. If he's basically going to go through that procedure, but it's also, it can't be to do with how he is going to approach turn one, because he's going to have obviously tyres at a decent temperature. So it must be the procedure on that lap building up, running deep into turn one.
So was that Laura? That's 6, isn't it? So who's currently in 6? Lawrence Van Toor.
It's 5. That was 5.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
AF Corsa and Proton competition have contested every race to date. We always say if you've got a GT race and you haven't got AF Corsa in it, you haven't got a GT race.
Well, you know, and Proton as well. I mean, massive kudos for them. They're here, as are AF Corsa, in both classes of this race. A number of the guys and girls in both teams have been here for all 100 races. Got one of our friends and colleagues in the press room, Gary Watkins, long-time reporter for Autosport. He's the only media member that's been here for all 100. I've done 98 of these, which is a ridiculous number.
Team boss, Proton team boss Christian Reed, for until this season basically, had done every race as well, pretty much. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So Christian Reed, amongst the members of the team who's been over every race, and drove, in fact, for 89 of them, 85 in a row until his parentheses retirement, and then a couple of stints first in the Ford and then in the AMG. And now he tells us he's retired. Don't believe you. He'll be back.
Exactly. Julian Andlau was under investigation for going off track. Well, I'm not quite sure what there was to investigate.
He went off track.
He outbraked himself and ran out wide. Not sure that needs to go to the stewards room. Anyway.
Bit of a moment, I think, for the 93 Peugeot just a moment ago at turn 3, but all appears well. We're in the last 2 minutes now of free practice 3. Next action, remember, will be qualifying. Join us for those with on the app or our broadcast partners for what I think, you heard what Alex Lynn said, could be a fascinating hyperpole. And remember, we're looking at these LMGT3 cars as well, the new format for this year, which sees the bronze drivers in qualifying and the silver drivers in hyperpole. And that has added a completely different layer to the entertainment for this class in quali this year.
It definitely has, and it brings a little bit more the pro drivers in as well as just the bronzes. The McLaren there is our race winners last time out, 95, Marino Sato. And there's the 77 Ford. Now that's back at race control. It is still leaking, and that, I have to say, that does look a little bit more oil than water, but the team, I'm sure, will be very keen to get it back. They'll have to wait another couple of seconds before the session finishes, and then it'll be pushed along the pit lane to them.
This is, again, Ben Tuck pulling over, drivers left into turn 1. Had already failed at that point, and he was out immediately of that car.
They've done well to get it.
So,
yeah. Oily fingers.
Oily fingers.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Shay Adam down there with Alexa from our social media crew. And again, looking at all of the features they're producing around each of these races. If you go to our YouTube channel, but also FIAWC.tv, you can catch up with all of those.
And across all the social media channels, there's a lot to look at, listen to, in between on-track sessions of the World Endurance Championship this era. We've got checkered flag out now. That's the end of the session, aside from finishing the laps they're on. Got a quali sims at the end here. I think this might well be the incident for 93 at turn 3. Oh, yeah.
Well, I was waiting to see him bounce over the curb and then spin, but in fact he spun on the way in, Darren, so lost the rear.
Yeah, I don't know if he just put it a bit wide on entry. That's sometimes the issue on turn 3, just going a bit wide, putting the right rear on the curb. Although it's not a wet curb, so it's still going to have some grip there. So, yeah, a bit of a strain on that one. But for the Ford team, they're super lucky. They've already got that car back in the end of pit lane. So at least, you know, they've got the maximum time now to get the car repaired and ready for qualifying.
Yep. So qualifying, which is our next on-track session for WEC, will be live at 14:05, which is, what's 14 minus 8? 06:05 GMT. So, yeah, no, 05:05 GMT, I think, isn't it?
I'm going to let you dig a hole even deeper for yourself.
I think it's quite early.
Join us for Haven Does Maths later on the Open University.
14:05 local time. That's the only bit I've got written down. I forgot to write down what the time translations were. Wherever you are, if you're watching us at the moment, either you're going to have to stay up late or get up very early to see it live. Otherwise, of course, it will be archived on the FIA WEC YouTube channel. So into the pit lane comes 007 Tom Gamble, the fastest car in free practice 3. This is not a flash in the pan. The Aston Martin Valkyrie has been fast in all 3 free practice sessions. Aston Martin Valkyrie test driver Darren Turner, I think you can take a lot of satisfaction from that, can't you?
I wouldn't say test driver. I had a few goes at it last year, but I was really lucky to get the opportunity to drive the car in the early phase. But it's superb, you know. I don't know if this is the first session this year where the Valkyrie's been on top of the timesheet, but we've got Heart Racing top of GT3 as well as the hypercar. So it's a good morning for those guys. But yeah, it's great to see the car coming on strong. You know, the first target for the team this year was obviously to get a reliable race at Le Mans 24-hour. And now the pace is starting to come in the second half of the season, so it just bodes well for the future.
I think they've done a magnificent job in year 1 with this car. You know, maybe less complex in terms of the systems than the hybridized cars, but this was an absolute trip into the unknown for the whole team. And to be where they are at this stage of season 1, they're significantly ahead of where we saw other teams at this stage in the trajectory.
Well, I can remember when Peugeot arrived and they were saying, look, we're a test team with a test car. We're not a race team with a race car. Don't judge us by what Toyota are doing 17 years into their World Endurance, experience. So I think that's a really important point, is that it's not an established team running the Valkyries. They are effectively a new start-up operation and a brand new car. I think they've done exceptionally well. And as you pointed out,
could not have gone better for all of the Heart of Racing organization. Ian James, as driver of the 27 and team principal, how pleased are you to see both cars at the top of the chart, the respective classes?
Well, that's pretty amazing, right? First time ever to be leading both classes, and just immensely proud of the men and women of both teams. You know, they're doing such a good job. Cars going well, and just excited to be here in Fuji. Looking forward to qualifying.
It seems like there's a bit more pace for the Aston Martin as well, not the hypercar, but for the GT in this cooler condition. Do you think that'll stick through qualifying?
I think the GT car always benefits from cooler conditions, you know, so hopefully the weather stays like it is and get through the hypo, and then we'll see what Zach can do.
We'll do a little bit of celebrating with the boys on the hypercar side. P1 for the first time, that's a big deal.
Yeah, we have to celebrate the little wins and on to qualifying.
Good luck.
Thank you.
there's the man who's making it all happen, really. The heart of racing, that's Ian James. That's Ian James's team. He is the... Yeah, he's the number one guy in both categories, making this program happen.
Properly busy guy, and I've watched a couple of times, even this week, Ian, having got out the car to come back in to walk across the divide into the hypercar garage, because of course he's driving the LMGT3 car. Kudos to Gabe Newell and the family there, behind the heart of racing, and have put the investment in to make this happen. There we are, there is the classification that finished. Tom Gamble, 1:29.492 in the 007 Aston Martin, a number which Darren Turner's very familiar with from his career, and tops the times here in Japan. Quite the headline.
And again, not the last laps they did, but the fastest laps, 24 thousandths, 31 thousandths, covering the top two, top three. And again, if we go all the way down, where do we get to 1 second off the pace? We get down to 15th place. within a second, 0.926 away. Nick Nielsen in the 50 Ferrari. So still 15 cars finish free practice 3 covered by a second, 15 cars finish free practice 2 covered by a second, and not all the same 16 cars. So a lot going on in Hypercar and in LMGT3. Again, we've got a very, very close group of cars. Tiny margins between these. 0.4 of a second, Mattia Drudi, the fastest lap for Heart of Racing's Aston Martin, ahead of the next closest car, United McLaren number 59. And so who's going to be on top in qualifying? Well, frankly, you just put all the names in a hat and throw them up in the air, because that's the easiest way of predicting it. Aston, McLaren, Corvette, the top 3, McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, then Porsche, Lexus and Ford. So in the top 9, we have all of our manufacturers in the LMGT3 class.
Well, I haven't got one, but 2 drivers of the Porsche number 6, Lorenz and Kevin. What are you expecting this weekend? You seem to be competitive at the moment, but is it difficult to read the track? And what is your mindset?
Yeah, it's very difficult to always know in every weekend and practice session where we are, because it's quite close and you don't know if the others are doing quality simulation, what fuel, what tires and so on. It's not bad. It's not great, not euphoric, but it's also not bad. I think we still have a little bit of work to do. And our target, I mean, it's quite clear. It's difficult to win the championship, but it's not over yet. So if we can make the Ferraris a little bit nervous and make them do mistakes and we do a good race, who knows? But yeah, it's going to be our tactic.
Well, doing a good race is what you do usually, even if you're not fantastic in quali. Kevin, it's going to be all in?
Well, yeah, all in without doing any mistake. Of course, we saw what all in was last year in turn 1 in lap 2. So no, first is to do good quali, try to get into the rhythm and into the good spot on track to start the race, and then go from there. But for sure, we'll need to do a perfect race to score some big points here.
Well, good luck to you guys. Thank you.
Interesting dynamic. Lawrence Vantor, as he was talking there, I was thinking the end of last year in Bahrain, when they were defending the championship lead and trying to just finish safely, and he said, I drove the worst drive of my entire life. Now the boot's on the other foot. Now attack is their only form of challenge, and so they can just go out and give it everything. If they come short, they come up short. If they don't, they don't. And that's going to be the same for the crew of 83. Second in the Drivers' Championship. They were outscored by the 51 car that leads the championship last time, so that gap has grown a little. But these guys, make no mistake about it, are determined to try and win. There's Christian Reed on the right-hand side of that shot, looking at the 77 Ford Mustang run by his Proton competition team.
They've got a busy day ahead of them, haven't they? 2 quick points to make from the end of that session. The first is, congratulations, Heart of Racing, topping both classes, I think, for the first time this season, the first season they've been in both classes. The other one is, do I believe that both of the Porsche factory cars are more than half a second off Proton? No, I don't, in terms of single lap pace.
No, not a chance. They'll be right in the mix when it comes to qualifying and Hyperpole, and when it comes to Sunday's 6 Hours of Fuji. Qualifying comes up at 10 minutes past 2 local time. We'll be on air at 14:05. So join us then as we have all the action here from Fuji. Till then, from the entire WC TV crew, it's goodbye from Japan.